I've got 45 minutes of free time and a dream. Because when I posted videos building this home library, a bunch of you commented saying it's kind of giving independent bookstore vibes. And this got me thinking, which is something I generally tend to avoid. What if I made this room into my own personal bookshop? The thing is, I treat this room like a little kid would treat a doll's house. Like, this is just my toy to play with now. And so that is what we are going to do today. I am going to turn this room into a bookshop. And if there's one thing I know well, it's bookshops. So I think if there's one person who can make this room look like a bookshop, it's me. I have a small set of skills, but they do come in handy sometimes. So that's the video. That's literally it. Welcome back. So for context, this is the space that we're working with. This is the home library. And I am personally of the opinion that the one thing that's going to make this immediately go from personal book collection to bookshop is a display table. Fortunately, I still have not removed this cabinet from this room. And sometimes our laziness actually is an advantage. So I'm just gonna put this kind of like in the center of the room so you could still kind of walk around it because I care about my customers that don't exist. So we're gonna put that there, and then the plan is to have books kind of laying flat on this table. So I reckon I can divide this in half and have two displays. But the question is, what do we display? So I have to think about what I have lots of. I definitely have a lot of translated Japanese fiction, so I feel like I can do like a whole display of that. That could be really cool. Okay, well, we need some Murakami if we're doing that. So we're gonna put that there. And this now is essentially like shopping in my own personal library. Miyako Kawakami, that's also important. We have some Sayaka Murata. I know there's a pile of translated Japanese fiction somewhere. The question is where? And then I'm thinking for the other side, I might do like a little dark academia display, which I'm gonna call dark jackademia. So of course for that we need If We Were Villains, and somewhere around here is, there we go, Donatar's The Secret History. No dark academia display would be complete without that. I just wanted to very briefly interrupt this video to let you know something I am buzzing about, and that is that this video is brought to you by Audible. Now, I use Audible every single day, so this is so exciting to me. Audible is of course a leading producer and provider of audiobooks and spoken word entertainment. With the world's biggest selection of titles, from classics to contemporary releases, they also have podcasts, and I am always listening to an audiobook. Wherever I go, whether I'm walking somewhere, on the train, at the gym, reorganizing my home library, there is always an audiobook that I am listening to. I especially love listening to celebrity memoirs using Audible because often the celebrity themselves narrates their story, which I think just adds a layer of depth. It's so engaging and really elevates the experience of hearing their story in their own voice. Now, my next listen on Audible is going to be this one. This is How Attachment Theory Explains Our Relationships. And this is an audiobook where an attachment theory expert takes you through attachment theory and how the way that we connect with other people shapes our relationships and shapes our lives. I think it's so interesting to understand how we behave in friendships and relationships, but also how other people behave in friendships and relationships and how we make that compatible. And I've heard a lot of people say that understanding attachment theory has really helped them be more of an empathetic person. I think there's 5 different attachment styles and I'm very excited to learn about them, so this is my next listen. And I love that Audible champions the power of the voice to bring stories, ideas, and characters to life. So you can check out Audible now and listen to Please Find Attached, How Attachment Theory Explains Our Relationships, and also loads of other audiobooks and podcasts on Audible. Back to the bookshelf. I also have some new additions to the home library. Firstly, The Fraud by Zadie Smith. So buzzing that there's a new Zadie Smith novel. It's set in 1873 and I think it is based on a real trial that did actually happen and kind of grapples with Jamaican and British identity. Then I got these absolute beauties. These were sent to me by Vintage, and we have If on a Winter's Night, A Traveller, Stoner by John Williams, and also The Woman in Black. That is a huge book. I've seen the movie with Daniel Radcliffe, but I think it's about time that I read the book as well. But in the meantime, those are going to look awesome on these shelves. I also ordered myself a couple more of the mini cloth-bound classics, and these, I think, are going to be very useful later in the video. I've got a little plan. It's cooking away up there. Trust the process, okay? And also, this is the book that I'm currently reading. Let me know what you see first when you look at this cover. Do you see the cat, or do you see the bird? Do you see that? I saw the cat first, but the bird is so sweet. That's the new Margaret Atwood book, Old Babes in the Wood. Anyways, I'm working on this. I can't find one of the books that I need, and it's so annoying. I took it on holiday with me last week, and I'm thinking, did I leave it there? I don't think I did, but that's like leaving a child on holiday. But these are the Japanese books that I've got so far. We have The Flowers of Buffoonery by Osamu Dazai, Hit Parade of Tears by Azumi Suzuki, Sputnik Sweetheart by Murakami, Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Tsujimura, Breast and Eggs by Miyako Kawakami, and Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. We've got some bangers here. This really is an all-stars cast of Japanese writers. And then this is my collection of Dark Academia books. I'm not gonna lie, Bunny is looking a little out of place in amongst the other covers. We have If We Were Villains, The Secret History, Bunny, we have Villette by Charlotte Bronte, and Paradise Rot. And then I want Mrs. S by Kay Patrick to be the final book. I just can't find it. Paradise Rot is kind of an outlier. There's a fly in this room. Is that my first customer? Anyways, sorry if you can hear the buzzing behind me, but this is Paradise Rot by Jenny Hival. And it's a little bit of an outlier in amongst these other books, but it does take place on a university campus and it is definitely dark. So you know what? Let me have it. Also, let me have this book. Where the hell is it? Oh my God, I finally found it. Here it is. This is Mrs. S, the final piece to my puzzle. Yes! That looks so cool. The only thing I have left to do is to make some sort of sign, like a divider between these two. So I just printed off these two pieces of paper. These are gonna be my signs to divide up that little display. It's definitely giving budget. It's giving budget independent bookstore. It's giving independent bookstore that really struggled during the pandemic and can't afford lamination. But I'm thinking this is my little DIY. I'm gonna use this ruler and put that in between them and stick them together, and then that will be like a little sign. See, there is kind of thought going into this. Are they good thoughts? I don't know. Is this a waste of energy? Maybe. Okay, a little double-sided tape moment. And it kind of works. Granted, it would have been better if I didn't use a red ruler. A transparent one would have been better, but we're working with what we have. And then hopefully, if I just push these books together, I did not expect that to work so well. Sorry. I have absolutely nailed that. Credit where credit's due. That looks great. This side, you can kind of see the ruler, but if you squint really hard and use your imagination, this side also looks good. Now, the next step involves these cloth-bound classics, which are absolutely gorgeous. I have an idea. The thought is, I think I could put them like this, so they're kind of facing outwards, so I kind of can make like a bit of a display. And if I've measured this correctly, then the shelf should exactly fit 3 of them. That looks kind of good, right? Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. Does that or does that not look like a bookshop? Look at these. They look great. It's almost a shame that I normally present them just spine out because these are so gorgeous. Honestly, if it wasn't for storage purposes, I would display my bookshelf like this all the time. That is a work of art. Andy Warhol is shaking. And that kind of gets me thinking that often in bookshops, some of the books will be turned facing out as well, like halfway through the shelf. So like this one, for example, might be like that. And then there would be like a little review underneath. Oh. That's an idea. It's getting increasingly elaborate and I kind of love it. So I guess I just need to go through and pick out a book every now and then that I would recommend. Like this one, for example, Elena Knows by Claudia Pinheiro, respectfully, one of the best books of all time. And then what we'll do is we'll take a chunk of the books and turn them all around and put them in that way. That looks great. This is honestly my dream. This is so much fun. Okay, so these are my picks. We have Elena Knows, we have Hamnet, The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, Boy Parts by Eliza Clark, This Is How You Lose the Time War. One of my favorite stories about this book is that it went to #1 as a bestseller because someone on Twitter with the username Bigolus Dickolus highly recommended it, and his review was honestly just so endearing that everyone was like, actually, I do want to read this book. And it is really, really cool. I also have The Master and Margarita, mostly because that cover is just gorgeous. They're Going to Love You by Meg Howry and The Woman Destroyed. So now I just need to add little labels to each of these, and I think it's all kind of coming together. I feel like they're always written on these little index cards, right? Throwback to my study tuber days, this whole setup really is giving DIY. So I'm basically going to write on these why I recommend each of the books. So we'll start with Elena Knows. I love reading when staff at bookstores write little recommendations for you. And honestly, I found so many of my favorite books this way. So with some double-sided tape magic, we are just going to stick those on there. And that looks kind of like a bookstore, right? One thing about me is I am going to commit to the bit. Okay, here is The update. For Elena Knows, I wrote, "This book made me ugly cry. It builds up to a huge crescendo and explores themes of illness, mother-daughter relationships, and religious dogma." For Hamnet, I wrote, "Women's Prize winner imagining the life of Shakespeare's family, a tender exploration of grief." The Memory Police, translated from Japanese, a dystopia in which everyday items begin to vanish one by one. People must come together in order to survive. For Boy Parts, I just wrote, "I support women's rights, and I also support women's wrongs." And that's what this is. This is How You Lose the Time War, the most gorgeous love letters you'll ever read, as recommended by Bigolus Dickolus, and so on and so forth. This is so like what your unemployed friend gets up to at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. My job? It's just book. And you know what? I'm not done. So I have this bench and I see potential for it because I think this could be a display. And I think if it's here, I could display some hardbacks on it, which are currently all up here, kind of looking a bit of a mess. Anyway, that's it. That's the display. It's just Sadie Smith. Okay, these are some of my most beautiful hardbacks that I own, and I think this is going to look incredible. Like, honestly, look at the sprayed edges of this one. Are you kidding me? That belongs in a museum, not my library. Okay, I'm sorry, but this is a work of art. No, guys, someone actually does need to stop me because at this point, I am getting carried away. Why did I just build a till? I've just built a checkout area and I've left space for one final book, which is this one, which apparently is a bit hidden away. Well, that's so humble of me. But this is my own book. Immediately reversing all the humbleness I was proclaiming to have by putting this one, pride of place, right here. And actually I was thinking it would be kind of cool to have a signed edition of a book, and this is the only book I'm capable right now of getting a signed edition of. The only author I have available to me right now is myself, which really is scraping the barrel. But if I sign this edition of my own book, like this, then I can put a little sign on it that says signed by the author, which is so bookstore core. Maybe this is kind of sad, actually. But then again, my own book publishers never actually organized any book signings for me, so HarperCollins, what's good? We've got to do what we can to live out our author fantasies. Signed by the author, baby. Sometimes you have to make your own dreams a reality, okay? Okay, are you ready for the official final tour? I actually think I've nailed this. So, welcome to my bookstore. What should I call it? I'm gonna call it Read the Room, because you can read everything in this room. So this is the Read the Room bookstore. We have our little display. We have some dark Jackademia. We have books translated from Japanese. Some gorgeous hardback covers, this little till area. Can you imagine how happy I would be sitting there all day, looking out over this? It's like everything the light touches is your kingdom. We have our little book displays. This, I think, is just so fun. My recommendations. I'm actually surprised I've managed to make the vision a reality. If you were just teleported to this space, if you were teleported right here, tell me you wouldn't believe this was an actual bookstore, right? This is telling me that I spend too much time in independent bookstores where I could literally recreate one given a moment's notice. I did not come to play around today. Actually, that's all I've done. All I've done is play around. And I guess now I just have to put it all back and stop cosplaying as a bookseller, because I actually would not let go of a single one of these books. I love them all dearly. These are not for sale, but I did have fun. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day. All the best, stay in touch, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye, and subscribe if you're new.